What does an El Salvador prison, Venezuelan migrants, and the United States Constitution have in common? I'll tie it all together in this episode of Follow the Lead podcast. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Valerie McLaughlin. On March 15th, the Venezuelan migrants boarded 3 chartered planes in Texas, ultimately destined for El Salvador. According to the U.S. government, the migrants were members of Tres de Agua, a Venezuelan gang. There's little information about the men, but what we know is this. The Trump administration used the Alien Enemies Act from 1798 to deport the Venezuelan migrants to El Salvador. This 227-year-old act allows for the detention and deportation of non-American citizens. It has only been used 3 times, the last being during the Second World War. A recent article published by Mother Jones suggests the tattoos the men had on their bodies were used as justification to label them gang members, leading to their deportations. According to this report, before the deportation flights occurred, some of the men called their families and told them they were being expelled from the U.S., assuming they would be sent home to Venezuela. Instead of being repatriated back to their home country, the men were taken into custody by the government of El Salvador to be housed in the country's maximum security gang prison. The United States signed a $6 million deal with the El Salvador government to house the men for a year. It's important to note that these men weren't given due process or the opportunity to defend themselves from the government's allegations of gang affiliation. Some of the men have active immigration cases in front of U.S. courts. The El Salvador government soon released a chilling video. The video starts with masked law enforcement officers leading the shackled and chained men from the airplane, loading them onto buses. This is all happening with a backdrop of flashing lights and sweeping drone footage, including images of a massive motorcade, of white prison buses and police vehicles contrasted by a dark night sky. The buses then drive into a sally port of a prison. The men are then roughly handled, forced to get onto their knees, where officials quickly shave their face and heads. Walking hunched, the guards lead the inmates into a large communal cell with what appears to be steel bunk beds rising to rafters. The video is almost 3 minutes long. It has a foreboding, choreographed look, as if it was a scene out of a high-budget Hollywood movie. Family members of some of the men were able to identify their loved ones because of the video. A U.S. federal judge had temporarily blocked the administration from proceeding with these deportations. There has been back and forth between the U.S. Department of Justice and the federal judge about how the deportations happened, despite a court order in place. The DOJ argues that the court order wasn't in writing when the planes took off. Even though a judge has demanded answers, the DOJ is insisting the information the court is seeking is confidential as it contains state secrets. The U.S. government hasn't been able to continue with the deportation flights because of the court order. The Trump administration lost its bid to overturn the temporary ban as the appeals court has upheld the federal judge's ruling. As for the fate of the Venezuelan men, it is unknown what kind of recourse, if any, they have. They are no longer on American soil. It's doubtful that the deportees have legal access. El Salvador has been in a state of emergency for the last 3 years in an attempt to extradite power from street gangs that have been running havoc in the country. Venezuela has no diplomatic ties with El Salvador. However, the Venezuelan government has filed court documents to release its citizens from custody. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem visited El Salvador on Wednesday, March 26. In a video posted to X, standing in front of a large jail cell incarcerating numerous men, perhaps the same men who were on those flights, she had a message to migrants still living in the United States. I'll play the audio of the clip.
Here at CCAT today and visiting this facility. And first of all, I want to thank El Salvador and their president for their partnership with the United States of America to bring our terrorists here and to incarcerate them and have consequences for the violence that they have perpetuated in our community. I also want everybody to know, if you come to our country illegally, this is one of the consequences you could face. First of all, do not come to our country illegally. You will be removed and you will be prosecuted. But know that this facility is one of the tools in our toolkit that we will use if you commit crimes against the American people.
In its nearly first 70 days, the Trump administration has had its agenda challenged in courtrooms across the country. Groups, organizations, and individuals are filing lawsuits against the administration in response to numerous executive orders the president has decreed as he attempts to shape his vision for his country. In response to the numerous legal roadblocks, Mr. Trump has lashed out at judges. In a Truth Social post on March 18th, he posted the following, quote, "I won for many reasons in an overwhelming mandate, but fighting illegal immigration may have been the number one reason for this historic victory. I am just doing what the voters wanted me to do. This judge, like many of the crooked judges I am forced to appear before, should be impeached. We don't want vicious, violent, and demented criminals, many of them deranged murderers, in our country. Make America great again." Unquote. In a rare statement, Supreme Court Justice John Roberts stated that impeachment is not an appropriate response to disagreeing with court rulings. Mr. Trump is not the only one in his administration who is calling for the impeachment of judges who block his agenda. Elon Musk has repeatedly railed against members of the judiciary who he has labeled as activist judges. On February the 25th, Mr. Musk posted the following to X, quote, "If any judge anywhere can block every presidential order everywhere, we do not have a democracy. We have a tyranny of the judiciary," unquote. If the Trump administration starts to fully ignore judicial rulings, the United States could be heading towards a constitutional crisis. The United States Constitution is divided into three branches. The legislative branch consists of the Senate and the House of Representatives, which make up Congress. The executive branch consists of the president, his cabinet, and the vice president. The judicial branch interprets laws, applies laws to individual cases, and decides if laws violate the Constitution. The branches can respond to one another, hence the system that is often called checks and balances. The president can veto legislation created by Congress. Congress can remove the president from office, and the Supreme Court can overturn unconstitutional laws. All these three branches are to uphold the Constitution. Currently, it's the federal courts that is keeping the president from proceeding with his agenda that includes ending birthright citizenship and massive firings from the public service. The real test will come when these cases go before the United States Supreme Court, and if the administration will obey rulings that don't go its way. That's it for this episode of the podcast. The podcast is now available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and I'm now uploading episodes to YouTube. The YouTube channel is called Follow the Lead Podcast. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe. Again, I appreciate everybody who's listening. I'll see you on the next episode. Bye for now.